Tonight, the president tries to resuscitate health care reform with, for the first time, a plan of his own. I'm Katie Couric. Also tonight, as the government opens a criminal investigation of Toyota, a CBS News investigation finds Toyota knew a lot more about one problem with its cars than it told the public. And a chilling indictment as a trusted pediatrician is charged with 471 counts of sexually abusing his patients.
I feel like telling him, "You SOB, we trusted you, you know." We trusted you. How could you do that?
From CBS News World Headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Good evening, everyone. For a year, President Obama let Congress take the lead in reforming health care, and it fell apart. So today, for the first time, the president put out a plan of his own. The White House says it's the, quote, opening bid going into Thursday's health care summit. But Republicans are already rejecting it. The Obama plan would extend coverage to 31 million uninsured Americans, mostly through subsidies. The price tag, $950 billion over 10 years. It includes no public option. Chip Reid is at the White House tonight. And Chip, I know this plan is $200 billion more than the existing Senate version, and it will not be an easy sell.
It will not, Katie. Now, the White House claims that they're going to pay for that $200 billion, mostly with increases in taxes on the wealthy, but it will be a tough sell, and that's not the only big hurdle in the president's new plan. He's also proposing a brand new federal board called the Health Insurance Rate Authority, and he wants to give the federal government the power to block insurance companies from unreasonable rate increases. Now, there is some politics afoot here. The president would love to go to that big health care summit on Thursday and say, Republicans, you object to this new federal board? Well, you're defending the insurance companies. I'm protecting the average American.
And Chip, why has the president waited until now to come out with this? I mean, is this a sign of how important health care reform is to him?
Exactly right, Katie. For people who haven't been paying attention, he is still very determined to get this through Congress, and he's going to do everything he can. And with the House and Senate gridlocked, he decided he had to take the lead.
All right, Chip Reid. Chip, thanks very much. They're angry about unemployment, but there is also a lot of anger about soaring insurance premiums. Ben Tracy in Los Angeles has more tonight about insurance sticker shock.
In Los Angeles, skyrocketing health care costs have a lot of people feeling sick.
Every month, my pocket gets picked.
Anthem Blue Cross, California's largest private health insurer, plans to raise rates on 700,000 households in the state. As of May 1st, most monthly premiums would jump 25%, some as much as 39%. Eileen Lissack is 7 months pregnant, but she wasn't expecting this letter from Anthem raising her premium from $525 to $708 per month, a 35% hike.
You have a right to make money, but not at the expense of abusing other people.
Nationwide, major insurance companies want to raise premiums by more than 20% in Oregon, Maine, and Connecticut, and a whopping 56% in Michigan. President Obama wants the government to be able to block large premium increases. Yet insurance companies say they have to charge more because fewer people are paying premiums after losing their jobs, and medical costs keep going up.
Hospital costs going up over 11%, pharmaceutical costs going up over 13%. That's what we really need to be focused on.
However, last year, Anthem sent an estimated $525 million in profit to its parent company, WellPoint. Today, California's insurance regulator announced 732 violations by Anthem, including late payment of claims and misleading consumers.
We want them to, number one, pay all claims on time. Number two, pay all claims completely.
This is cute, I think.
Eileen Lissack just wants to focus on picking out her baby's name.
Things that bring you joy, not this. This is not joyful.
Not when you can't afford insurance, but can't afford to live without it. Ben Tracy, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Tonight's other major development, Toyota is now under criminal investigation. The company says a federal grand jury in New York has subpoenaed documents related to the sudden acceleration problems on some of its cars. Toyota's president will testify before Congress on Wednesday. He'll likely be asked about an internal company memo. that shows Toyota saved $100 million in 2007 by persuading government regulators to narrow their investigation. The regulators agreed to just a limited recall. Meanwhile, CBS News has obtained documents that indicate Toyota knew that some of the surging problems were caused not by floor mats or sticking gas pedals, but by the car's computers. Cheryl Atkinson has the exclusive results of her investigation. And Cheryl, I understand the paper trail goes back 5 years.
That's right, Katie. Congress, as you know, already has thousands of pages of Toyota documents to sift through, but we did obtain that one internal document in particular that could be devastating to Toyota's claim that electronics aren't an issue.
CBS News has learned that as early as 2005, Toyota engineers were redesigning software in response to complaints of cars surging unexpectedly. That could be crucial because publicly, Toyota has insisted for 6 years through 8 federal investigations that electronics are not to blame when its cars surge, sometimes out of control. Instead, Toyota faults drivers, floor mats, and more recently, sticky gas pedals. This internal document obtained by CBS News appears to contradict Toyota's claims. Dating back 5 years, it tracks Toyota's monthly progress in addressing surging back-and-forth sensation at constant throttle in 06 Lexus hybrids. Toyota engineer Matsuhiro Ikeda notes surging between 39 and 44 miles per hour and at 70 miles per hour. The fix, redesigning software for the car's electronic control unit, or ECU. Software planned for first week in August. Today, in response, Toyota acknowledged the internal reports of surging and the software fix, but a spokesman says it wasn't a problem of unintended acceleration. It was a more subtle rocking sensation that caused a seasick feeling and was fixed for customer comfort. Experts say a glitch in Toyota's electronic throttle control system would be much more expensive and problematic than faulty floor mats.
If it's an electrical problem, which I believe it is, then it really means that we have to question the whole way that these systems are constructed.
So far, Toyota has recalled 7.4 million vehicles for supposed sticky pedals and floor mats, but those vehicles and millions more on the road have the electronic throttle control system at issue in the company's own report in 2005. Katie?
Cheryl Atkinson, thanks so much, Cheryl, for that exclusive report. In other news, the 9/11 sequel that might have been. A former airport shuttle driver pleaded guilty today to plotting a massive terror attack here in New York City. Najibullah Zazi, a 25-year-old Afghan immigrant, is likely to spend the rest of his life in prison. Here's Chief Investigative Correspondent Armin Katayan.
Speaking in a clear, polite tone, Zazi delivered a most chilling claim. He was recruited and trained by al-Qaeda near the Pakistan-Afghanistan border. He intended to commit a martyrdom operation by blowing up bombs in the subways of New York. In the end, Zazi pleaded guilty to 3 federal counts, including conspiracy to use weapons of mass destruction.
It could have been devastating. This attempted attack on our homeland was real. It was in motion, and it would have been deadly.
The plea apparently came as a direct result of government pressure to squeeze information out of Zazi. Pressure in the form of recent arrests or indictments of associates and family. In the wake of the plot, CBS News has learned FBI investigators discovered craters in remote wilderness sites in Colorado, where Zazi allegedly honed his bomb-making skills. And scores of agents visited more than 3,000 storage and rental truck facilities in the New York area, searching unsuccessfully for explosives.
Zazi said he was willing to sacrifice himself to bring attention to what the U.S. is doing in Afghanistan, a sacrifice that will likely bring him a life behind bars. Armin Katayan, CBS News, New York.
And still ahead here on the CBS Evening News, where America stands on credit cards as new consumer protections go into effect. But up next, the shocking story of a pediatrician accused of molesting more than 100 of his young patients. Now to a horrifying story. Prosecutors in Delaware say a small-town pediatrician is behind the worst single case of child sexual abuse in U.S. history. 56-year-old Dr. Earl Bradley was indicted today on charges he molested 103 of his patients, some as young as 2 years old. Our chief legal correspondent Jan Crawford is following the case, and we caution you, the details are disturbing.
The Sussex County Grand Jury today indicted Dr. Earl Bradley for rape and sexual assault of more than 100 victims between 1998 and 2009.
The parents learned of the horror just before Christmas. Earl Bradley was arrested after 15 years as a pediatrician in the town of Lewis, a sleepy fishing village of 3,000 on the Delaware shore.
Almost everybody probably knows somebody that, yeah, their kid went there.
Bradley was a popular doctor with children. A visit to his office, called Babies Pediatrics, was like going to an amusement park with a Ferris wheel and a merry-go-round.
I think he just, I guess like you say, wanted the kids to come to him. When they said they were going to Dr. Bradley's, they were like, yeah, we're going to go to Dr. Bradley's because he's got the rides.
But the rides and the toys were a lure by what authorities now call a sinister predator.
There were children being molested, probably on a daily basis in that office.
We spoke to a half-dozen parents who know their children were molested. They asked that their identities be obscured. They told us how the revelations have affected them.
You look at your kid sometimes and you just grab her and hold her and give her a hug, and she sees you crying and you don't know. You can't tell her why. It just goes on and on.
The grand jury indictment in Sussex County today charged Bradley assaulted and raped at least 103 children in the past decade, often while the parents were in the room, including this mother of a 5-year-old.
He said he was checking her for a bladder infection, and he actually inserted fingers inside of her. And it was very quick, and I didn't question it because I trusted him.
Police discovered an extensive videotaping system throughout his offices, in the basement and surrounding buildings. He taped brutal assaults when he took the children off alone.
And he would take her to the back building, and he would get her ice cream and things like that.
And she was by herself with him?
Yeah.
And how long would she be gone?
Like 2 to 3 minutes.
For the past 6 weeks, using tapes they seized with a search warrant, police have been trying to identify the victims. They've shown parents still photos pulled from the videos. After this father identified his 3-year-old daughter in one video, he said police told him what it showed.
The police officer described that he disrobed both of them and was rubbing his on her. I was out of the room for 3 minutes or less. And you don't think anything of that at the time, but now looking back, the detectives have told us that some of the videotapes took less than 45 seconds.
With the investigation still ongoing, state officials tried to erase the visual reminders. Last week, officials boarded up the merry-go-round and moved everything else out back, out of view. But what happened here, this town will never forget.
I feel like telling him, the doctor, like, you know, you SOB, what, you know, we trusted you, you know. We trusted you. How could you do that?
Officials say today's indictment isn't the end of the Bradley investigation. For some parents, that's terrifying.
I look at her when she's laying there sleeping, I'm just thinking, the poor girl, you know, I just pray that she's not one of them, because she's so sweet, you know, because he's my little baby.
Investigators are continuing to sift through evidence. Since Bradley had thousands of patients, the number of victims could grow dramatically. Jan Crawford, CBS News, Lewis, Delaware.
A new law went into effect today, giving new protections to credit card users. And there are plenty of us. Nearly 3 million accounts are opened every month, and we make nearly $2 trillion in purchases every year. Now, Anthony Mason tells us the rules are changing as we continue our special series, CBS Reports, Where America Stands.
They've become a cornerstone of the U.S. economy.
More credit cards are issued in this country than in any other country.
Nearly 700 million, more than 2 cards for every American.
The American consumer has basically been living on inflated income for the past 10 years.
The report card is written in red ink. Americans have an outstanding credit card balance of $775 billion.
We have a lot of people playing catch up.
Now, the impact of the Great Recession and sweeping new regulations passed by Congress to protect consumers are presenting us with a new problem. by radically altering our relationship with that 2-inch piece of plastic that powers so much of the U.S. economy.
Is the game changed?
The game has changed entirely.
John Alzheimer of Credit.com says the new Cardholders Bill of Rights, which takes effect today, gives borrowers a 21-day grace period to make payments, requires a lender to give 45 days notice before raising your interest rate, and abolishes fees for going over your credit limit.
I mean, are these rules likely to cost them money?
The over-limit fee restriction will likely cost the credit card industry between $10 and $15 billion.
Banks have already started trying to make up some of that lost revenue by hiking other fees and interest rates. In a new CBS News poll, nearly 40% of borrowers say their rate has gone up in the past few months. The average advertised rate for credit cards a year ago was 11.5%. Today, it's 13.5%.
Hopefully all these will be shipping by the end of the week.
Great.
David Duncan used his credit cards to help launch his Georgia-based candle and fragrance company, Patty Wax. But last year, he got a notice from his bank.
They cut your limit in half?
They cut the limit in half.
And did what to the interest rates?
I went from 8% to 24%.
So Duncan has paid off his cards completely.
I've changed my habits.
He's not alone.
And we're seeing some unbelievable trends we frankly haven't seen before.
Dan Adams of Equifax, the Atlanta company that manages 230 million credit files, says Americans have lowered their credit card debt by more than 8% over the past year. At the same time, banks have cut back on credit card offers as delinquency rates have soared during the recession.
So what we've seen is a 43% drop in the number of new account openings for a credit card over the past 12 months.
We're picking up changes in blood flow.
The truth is, our brains may be hardwired to buy impulsively.
What exactly is a neuroeconomist?
I'm a neuroeconomist.
For the past decade, Dr. Gregory Burns of Emory University has been using brain scans to study how we make buying decisions. It's a fight, he says, between the dopamine neurotransmitters in the center of the brain
and those are the signals that carry the immediate prospect of reward.
And the frontal lobes, which deal with the future.
And in fact, when you're doing the brain imaging experiments, you often see kind of a battle being waged between these short-term reward systems and these longer-term planning systems.
Burns says our brains are simply better at processing the present.
The degree to which that happens affects our balance sheets when we're pulling out the card and making that decision.
Analysts see two possible solutions to our credit card problem. First, the U.S. could move to a more cash-based system, like the European model, where shoppers rely on debit cards that draw directly from their bank accounts. Germany has only 4 million credit cards. In France, debit cards outnumber credit cards more than 2 to 1.
It forced me to know how much money I have and how much money I can spend, and not thinking, well, whatever, I will pay next month.
Second, we need greater competition. Today, just 10 companies control 90% of the credit card market. But much smaller credit unions often offer much better deals, like First Community in Kalamazoo, Michigan. 6 years ago, this credit union sold its credit card program to a bank.
The members were getting upset. The rates were escalating.
Consultant Ondine Irving was called in to help First Community rebuild its card program. While the bank charged rates of 12 to 29%, the credit union now offers a starter rate of 8.25% and capped its highest rate at 18%. It's also eliminated balance transfer and annual fees.
Credit unions can eliminate all that and still make a profit. And if credit unions can do it, the bank should be able to do it as well. They're just choosing not to.
The recession has forced many Americans to confront a credit card addiction. America's relationship with plastic has to change. We can't afford for it not to. Anthony Mason, CBS News, Atlanta.
And CBS News asked the 5 biggest credit card issuers for interviews for this story. They either turned us down or didn't respond to our requests. And one more financial note. Did you know Superman's incredible powers include turning a dime into a fortune? The very first Superman comic book sold for 10 cents back in 1938. Today, a rare copy sold at auction for $1 million, the most ever paid for a comic book. And like Superman, the buyer and seller prefer to keep their identities a secret. And that's the CBS Evening News for tonight. I'm Katie Couric. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.